Do you think Big Brother could do this thing, which is to get people to watch Sleeping Beauty and ask them if they can list the number of faults that I've seen in it, like, or that they see in it? Because when I was watching, I don't know what I thought years and years ago, but I know that there was always something nice about it when I watched it as a kid, and now that I've watched it, I haven't seen it in a very long time. It's actually quite ridiculous the number of things that they kind of do wrongly. Like for instance, who gives their baby away to three strangers that they barely know, um, knowing that they're never going to see their child for 16 years because of something that's going to happen to them on their 16th birthday. I mean, that's completely crazy. The fairies seem to have no ability to cook. Like they didn't crack the eggs. They put the eggshells in with the cake mix, so they clearly have no ability to cook. So how are they going to feed this this girl? In the story, they stopped their magic for 16 years. They didn't use their magic, but it's also clear that they don't know how to cook. So it's just like, well, how would you cook for this person, and how would you cook for yourself if you don't know that eggshells shouldn't be put in with the mix? And they didn't know how to make clothes, and it didn't look like they were rich, so they didn't look like they could provide any kind of lifestyle for this child that should have been brought up in the castle. And when the father, you see the father who's been waiting 16 years to meet the child that he's never seen before. They presented them as so nice people, but he was actually just talking about marrying her off. So it's like he had no interest in actually having the child, having this daughter live with him or be with him. Like his main interest was marrying her off to someone that she hadn't met or known about, and getting grandkids. So it's like, I have no interest whatsoever in raising my own child, but I expect my child to raise children for me because I want to be a grandparent. It's like he had far more interest in being a grandfather than he had in actually being a father. So, he was portrayed as being a nice person, yet in reality, he would probably count as one of the world's worst fathers. Any father that would give off their newborn baby to three strangers they barely know because of a curse that might happen when they're 16. Oh, and when they're 16, without even meeting them, without even seeing them or speaking to them, their first thought is, let's marry them off to someone they don't know. And I'm looking forward to the grandkids. It's just like, it's actually quite a sick story, and I don't think the people who made that realize it. I know it's done a very long time ago, so I can't blame the writers, and I think it's deliberately done like this because people are supposed to, they're asleep. I think anyone who watches that film in today's time and doesn't notice all these faults, they must be fast asleep. I don't know how many people are awake to this. How many people? I'd love to know this as a test. How many people would watch the Sleeping Beauty film and think that this is okay? It's like, is it okay to marry off a 16-year-old to someone she doesn't know when you yourself don't even know her? Is it okay to expect, be looking forward to her grandchildren but not be any interested in raising her for yourself? And then there's the fault with Maleficent, you not knowing why she doesn't like this child. She didn't get invited to the birthday the newborn celebration. I think the christening or something. She didn't get invited to the christening, so she hated the baby. But technically, it wasn't the baby's fault that she wasn't invited. And when you first see the Maleficent person after 16 years, she makes it clear you haven't found it. You haven't found the baby, and then they find out that the people that she was working with, or the people that she got to look for the baby, were still looking for a baby, even though it was 16 years. I mean, that is a flaw in itself. I mean, if you've been getting people to constantly search for this child, you would make sure that they're looking for a baby, then they're looking for a 1-year-old, then they're looking for a 2-year-old, and looking for a 3-year-old. You wouldn't just like wait 16 years and then just be like, what, you're still searching for a baby? I didn't know that. I mean, I've had 16 years to ask you this question and to tell you that. I mean, that there's so many things that are just crazy in this story. But it would be interesting to see if you played this to people. I mean, how many people would see these faults? The fault that the prince doesn't actually know anything about this girl, hence probably has no reason to really like her. And that there's also the fault that if someone is pretty and asleep and living in the 14th century, the likeliness of it just turning into abuse is quite high. And I think that is actually the original story I heard. The original story was that she got pregnant during that time. But yeah, and then I don't know what other ones there are, but I think yeah, there's so many flaws in the story. It's kind of crazy how I'd love to know how many people would see these things, or how many people would just do what I did when I was, I don't know, probably like 4 or 5 when this came out, and maybe I just really liked it when I was a kid, and because I was a kid, I didn't see the flaws in it, and therefore I just liked it. I think it's only just I like how she looks. That is, I'm as stupid as the Prince answer. I like her because how she looks. Um, yeah, but I don't know how often I've watched a film or anything, but um, it's really silly.